Welcome everyone in this new video tutorial about the multiplayer combat editor. In this video we're going to learn how to use the built-in aura feature. So what is the aura feature? It's a feature built in the skills which says basically whenever someone enters a specified range around the guy owning the skill, the person entering the range is going to be affected by a status if it's a valid target. So what is the valid target? It's a target neutral, enemy or ally, depending on what you specified. So we can just create a new skill of ours and call that BP my aura, for instance. We can open it up. So I duplicated the spawn trap skill, so I'm going to get rid of the logic there. I just want trigger gameplay effects, which is the function triggered when our animation is being used, is being played. And I just want to say this is not going to be spawn trap, this is going to be my aura. And I'm going to remove the description and I'm going to look for aura, command aura, for instance. It's not going to be stopped on release. It's going to have the magical tag and it's going to target the ally, my allies for now, and maybe myself, for instance. And then we don't want any visual FX to that. We are going to use FX built in the status itself. You could be building something which says whenever the around me I have, for instance, when the aura is being activated, you are adding a particle FX around the character, around the owner, the user, I mean, get user, and attach particle spawn emitter attached to get user socket, for instance. Get user socket. I cannot get user socket. I can get user skeletal mesh. I can attach something to the origin of my skeletal mesh, for instance. When the aura is activated, we're going to see what we can do with this. So what is the damage of the aura? It's not going to have damage. It's not going to have cooldown. No, neither does it have stack, recast. It's not going to have an animation for now. It's not going to have a play rate. Neither does it have its results. Range, we're not going to use the built-in range feature built in this. We're going to use the aura built-in range feature, and it's not going to have a mana cost. And how do we add an aura to that? An aura is a passive effect, so we need to set up the passive effects, and we need to type in aura feature. We need to add an aura like this. We need to specify what is the aura ID. So for our case, it's going to be my aura, for instance. The targets. We're going to get the targets of the skill, the targets we specified there, ally and self, and the range. So the range and aura box, we're going to go into that later, just after, and it's going to default active, and we're going to say that so it's asking for a status to apply, so you can create your own status, or you can use the and in our case we're just going to use the status contained in the example folder, but an aura is applying a status, so you can build any status you want and apply it with your aura. So what are these two values, range and aura box? Aura box is basically the trigger box around your character, which is going to be the radius of the aura, which is going to be the trigger applying the status. And it's asking yourself for an aura box. So you can tell the aura that your character has a trigger around him, and it is the trigger to use for the aura. And why would you want to do that? And in that case, the range, if you specify an aura there, an aura box there, a trigger box basically, if you do that, it's not going to take into account the range you specify there. It's going to take into account the range of the box you pass as parameter there. So why is this? Because all trigger box are expensive, and if you have too many round box, if you have too many trigger box around a character, it's going to lag in your game. So for instance, you don't want to add aura to AI characters that are a lot. When there are many AI characters, you only want the captain to have an aura. You don't want all of the cannon fodder, all of the weak enemies to have an aura, because trigger bucks are expensive. If you have a 5, 6, and it's not about MCE, it's about Unreal Engine. It's not because trigger bucks are not expensive with MCE. They are expensive in Unreal Engine. Updating the overlaps is expensive in Unreal. So if you specify an aura box there, so for instance, maybe you know that you have, for instance, maybe you have a sphere collision around your character, which is, for instance, that big, and it's going to be a trigger, and it's going to be the aura box all aura are using, for instance. If you do that, you can say get user cast to third person character, convert to pure cast, get aura box. How is it called? Aura box? Yeah, I want that. I want the aura box. If you do that, it's going to use, the aura is going to use that box. If you don't do that and specify, for instance, this, it's automatically going to create a box around your character and use the box. So you can have multiple aura with multiple range if you specify that. If you specify an aura box, it's going to use that. For all aura, you give that box too. So we added our aura. What else do we need to do? We need to validate the passive activation because we've finished implementing that. And we're going to add that aura to our character. So we're going to learn a new skill, which is going to be the aura, my aura. And we're going to hit play. So we are going to be affected by the aura by default. Command aura, you deal increased damage and you take reduced damage. And if I switch team, it's not going to be automatically recorded. And I'm not, so that's quite strange. It's not being applied to myself. So self is not working there. The target self is not working. I cannot target myself with the aura. Maybe because that box is ignoring myself. Ignore, I don't think it's ignoring myself. I'm just going to do a little trick there. Feature activate all passive aura. I'm going to say it's not active by default. It's going to wait 2 seconds and it's going to activate all aura. So my aura, I think it's active now. But it's not working. Because I'm not supposed to do that. If I want, and if I do this, is it going to work? Set aura active is another way to activate an aura. Set aura active, yes or not. if you want to toggle the aura. Okay, so I think there's a bug with the Activate Aura, and there is also a bug with the self tag. It's only applying the aura to my ally and not myself. But that doesn't mean we cannot work around, we cannot do stuff. So, and what if I said this? I'm going to add that, and I'm just going to use the default box. It's even better. I'm stuck using my aura because I can use the skill. I can use my aura, and when I use the skill, I'm stuck forever. So if I move that and use my aura, yeah. You can use the aura because it's not a passive skill. I made that an active skill, and it was a mistake, I believe. And it's failing to properly update. So there are a lot of little bugs and quirks, but it doesn't matter. I will fix them, and the behavior, but the way to code that is going to be the same, so we can keep on going. So we're going to specify that we want our aura box like this. We are not going to do that. So if we do this, it's not working anymore because it's not active by default. Like this, okay, we are fine. And if we move our aura to the first skill, we can use the aura, and that's because I made that an active skill, but maybe you don't want that to be clickable, so you need to make this a passive skill. And it's going to be stored in another skill list, in the passive skill list. But maybe you want that aura to be toggleable, and in that case you can check out the example I created, and we are actually going to redo this. But if you want, you can open up command aura and check out. This is an example where you activate the aura and it's consuming the cost every 0.5 seconds, but we are just going to say that when you click the aura, it's going to activate it, and when you unclick it, it's going to, when you re-click it, it's going to deactivate it. And we're going to add a cooldown to that just so we cannot spam the hell out of the status stuff. And we're going to uncheck defaults active because we are going to activate it by hand. So it's not going to stop on release, and it's not going to have a main montage, and it's going to have a cooldown of 1 second. So what happens when we click that aura? We're going to set aura active like this. And what aura do we want to activate? My aura for now. And we're just going to see if it works. So if we move, if we click, we're going to be stuck forever with my aura active, and it's not going to activate the aura at all. Because this is not triggering. Why it is not triggering? Because we do not have a montage, and this is triggering out of the anim notify. So we're just going to use one of the montage we use for another skill, just so we can properly see the aura being activated. And we need to use the right skill. Yep. So it's activating the aura, and if we move away from our ally, it's deactivating the aura and reactivating it. So you have a built-in delay of 1 second when someone leaves the range of an aura, it still has the status for 1 second to avoid spamming, adding, and removing statuses from objects. This makes sure it never spams more than every 1 second add and remove status. So it's for performances. So you can activate the aura, but what if we want to deactivate it? Well, you can just flip-flop, for instance. Can you ask, is an aura active? You cannot, we can get an aura, but we cannot ask, is it active? We can ask, is it enabled? It's not friendly to see if an aura is activated, so I'm going to improve that when I will be fixing the bugs. Instead of flip-flopping, we can ask, is an aura enabled? And if it's enabled, we're actually just going to say we want to enable it if it's disabled, and vice versa. So if we use our skill, it's going to activate the aura and it's going to deactivate it. Oh, it's not deactivating the aura on client. I think that's because, and it's working on server, I think that's because this might be not working properly. So we're going to try the flip-flop for now, just to see if the bugs come from what I expect. The server cannot even activate it, because if it's A, I want it active, if it's B, I want it like this. We want to set that. So it's activated and it's deactivated. So it's working. It's not working properly on clients, but I'm not sure why. There are some bugs, but the idea is here. You can activate and deactivate the aura. You can also activate all of the aura at once if you have several. Deactivate all aura and activate all aura. And this is all you can do with auras. So for now, there are some bugs with activation and deactivation, but we're going to it's going to be fixed when you'll be using the feature. And you also have an error when you spawn. I think this is because so the aura is trying to look for the combat manager of the AI we are spawning, and it doesn't find it, or it finds it but our AI died. So I need to take care of this in the aura feature. So there are quite a lot of bugs in the aura feature, which is one of the latest feature I added. So I did not experience all of these bugs while I was working in the development environment, but it doesn't matter, it's going to be fixed. So hope you guys enjoyed that video and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.